All right. Hello, GFORCE. Man, I want to welcome everybody to another episode, I guess, right, of GFORCE One-on-One. And as you can see on this screen, we have the incredible Senior National Sales Director, Joe Ward, right out of Houston, Texas. And we are about to do some fun stuff, have an incredible conversation. So you better take notes on this. But Joe, we want to officially, GFORCE wants to welcome you to GFORCE One-on-One. It is great to have you.
Well, this is very exciting. And I tell you right up front, Randy, this is such a tremendous idea to be able to just kind of pick the brains of some of the top leaders in Primerica, and the fact that, you know, you have the reputation to be able to get them all on is a testament to you and your leadership. So we're excited about the time today.
Thank you, brother. It really is an honor. Anybody who's, you know, this business is such an unusual business in so many ways, and anybody who's got the goodies to go up and achieve what you've achieved within the Primerica system, unbelievable. And so it's an honor for us to have you here. We're going to try and get as much done in a short period of time. So let's rock. The first thing that everybody wants to know, especially the new people too, kind of what you were doing prior to Primerica, because we always think you must have been a superstar before you got here and all that kind of stuff. That's never the case, never, you know. So what were you doing prior to this?
I was a teacher from Tennessee. I was getting my master's in criminal justice at the time. My actual fraternity brother, who was my roommate at the time, got prospected into the business. It took him 6 months. I like to tell people this, Randy. It took him 6 months to get me out to the office, making all kinds of promises that I'm coming and all this kind of jazz and blah, blah, blah. I was blowing him off and whatnot. And he finally put it on our personal relationship, cursed me out a bit. And I took a look at the business. So yeah, that was about now 26 years ago. Wow,
that's amazing. So that's a lesson to everybody in persistency, right? I mean, don't you give up on the right person and they'll show up. So that's huge. That's awesome. So, you know, obviously you went to an opportunity meeting, an orientation session, something was said there that sparked you, I guess, you know, and so did you wind up coming, just kind of giving it a part-time try at first, or how'd that work?
Well, you're 100% correct. I didn't come to an op meeting. I actually came to a one-on-one interview.
That's what I did too, by the way, before I went to a group session.
Yeah, so I came to a one-on-one interview to answer your question. And I like to talk to people about why I joined. I think it's important for people to see the business through other people's eyes, not really so much to sell the business through your particular eyes, but to at least give the people that are in the business an opportunity to kind of understand what you were thinking. I saw the marriage of two pretty substantial industries that, one without the other, I would not have been interested in the slightest. It was the marriage of the two. And those two industries was financial services and what we would consider distribution or network marketing, call it whatever you want. And the ability to recruit people. I would have never wanted to sell life insurance as a business, wouldn't want to do it today. Didn't want to sell any financial products, mortgages, securities, any of that stuff. But I did know that it was a substantial way to make money. That it was very tough. I tell people, Randy, that it's tough to not make money in the money business.
Yes.
But then it would still be sales. And I wasn't interested in sales. Now, I didn't understand at that point at 23 years old that your greatest opportunity to make first generation wealth is by selling something. I didn't know that at the time. I just didn't want to sell anything, but I knew you could make money in the money business. Number two was distribution. Yeah. Now, being in a fraternity and whatnot, and from church and all that, somebody's always joining something where you could sell something and recruit other people. I had seen several of them, but probably 5 or 6 of them, sat down, had those presentations and all that. I was not interested in that either. Now, here's the reason why. I always believed in distribution. I had never found anything worth distributing.
That's it.
And that was the thing, because I knew that people could get other people just based on personal relationship. So when you put those two things together, okay, I can move life insurance, investments, mortgages, whatever the case may be, but I have people that are going to take me to the people, and I use their credibility. I didn't know those words then, but that in sense, I use their credibility to do it. Well, now it's not sales, it truly is education. So that's what I saw initially. I was part-time for 6 months. Like I said, I was teaching. It was, more of like an alternative school for kids that have behavioral problems.
Mhm.
So I literally walked off the job one day when I had to kind of restrain a kid. He like scratched me and I was bleeding. And I'm like, oh no, this is not the career for me. I had already started Primerica. I was already licensed. I was already a division.
Okay.
By that time, I moved really quick in the beginning. And so I was only I'm only part-time for 6 months. I
Mhm.
probably, in retrospect, probably should have waited till about a year, to be quite honest, because I kind of struggled those next 6 months, not really
Sure.
knowing what to do. I don't have any more warm market and whatnot.
I bet
Never
you
saw
learned,
it.
I bet you learned a lot during that struggle, right?
Oh, well, I learned
Right?
everything not to do.
Yes,
I did
exactly.
everything wrong in that period of time, which is an education in and of itself. So yeah, that's what I
Got it. Man, that's huge. And so you saw, and I told people all the time, what attracted me to the business was never selling insurance, even term insurance. Now I owned a little $10,000 whole life policy. I was furious, when I found out that same dude could have sold me 100,000 a term and did not do it. So I bit into the crusade big time, but as far as associated with the insurance industry, that was not a thing for me at all. But when I saw the management concept, and that's what we really specialize in, is sales management combined with the financial services, that's what blew my mind. That's why we're making the money we're making. That's why we're the #1 distributor of income in the Direct Sellers Association. Nobody comes close to us
Right.
because of our system within the financial services industry, but so you take off, you got access to this. And that's what I tell people all the time is you got to give people access. We give people access to this incredible system initially part-time. You knew you could have success. So when you had a bump in the road, man, you went full-time with us. Well, that was according, what I remember you telling me is 47 regional vice presidents ago, that was over 11 million in career cash ago, right? And you know what it's like to make 1.5 million in 1 year, okay? But it's like I tell people, it's not how much you make, it's how you make it. And man, you did that on residual income stream, passive income streams. I don't know about you, I want to get as passive as humanly possible. And so, I mean, did you think it was gonna, tell me what it's like to make that happen for yourself, to realize your whys are really coming true,
Well, and you were about to say, did I think that was gonna happen?
Right.
And I believed I could make about 250 to 300,000 here.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was my frame of reference of what I saw around me. So when I joined Mike Evans' organization, well, I'm a network to Mike, 75-25 to Mike. So when I moved from Tennessee to Chicago, Mike was making about 250. And there were several other leaders that were just floating around that 250, 300 number.
Yeah.
There were, even from an African-American standpoint, at that time, there were only 2 African-Americans making $1 million. So that was Sam Shepard and John Lennon. And you're sitting here going, you can't say that was something I thought could happen. There's only 2 guys doing it.
Right.
Right. That look like me, which is very, very important in the process. That's like until Virginia Carter makes $1 million, 10 women make $1 million.
That's right. No, exactly.
Right. I think we forget that sometime. And then Francis comes along and then Cheryl comes along and it's like, oh, okay, it's possible. So
the belief barrier was busted, man.
Correct. And I understand the scripture says faith come without hearing, right? Without seeing and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it sure does help to see.
Yeah, right.
So as our business grew, the possibilities grew in our thought process, because the truth of the matter is we can't plan on, even the organization that you have built, you can't plan on your mind having the type of leaders come along like you have in your hierarchy.
Mhm.
That's not part of the plan.
Right.
What we think is, I got some folks that are pretty decent, and if I have enough of them, I can have a pretty decent life. But if we stay in this recruiting game long enough, right, we get the multiples working for us because talent comes through large numbers, right?
Yes.
Somehow we're forgetting that today. Talent comes through large numbers,
Got to
and
find it.
so great people are going to walk through the door.
Mhm.
So what that then does is it starts to facilitate the lifestyle. And we are of a similar thinking. I tell people that I am naturally lazy. It's
Mhm.
okay. That's okay. You must first know thyself. It's a principle, know thyself. But I also know how to work when I have to. The
Right.
scripture says that we must learn to work while it's day. So you
Yeah.
got to think about all the occupations that would occur back in the Bible, whether you're a farmer or a fisherman. Wasn't a lot of this happening at night. So it says work while it's day. So I knew when I had to put my foot down. And as a part of that story, everything I have basically I built in a 9-month period of time in 2008. I
Wow.
could lie and say it was 18 months, and you hear that all the time. Hey, just 18 months, blah, blah, blah. And that's maybe true for a lot of people. But for me, it was 9 months. I'm diverging a little bit from your question, but I think
That's
it'll be
okay. Go.
beneficial for
Run.
your
Run.
people. So for 9 months, I sat down, which is when I was in Chicago, I sat down with 15 to 20 people face to face every single week for 9 months.
Say that one more time, just so
Right.
you can get it. Okay.
Right. I sat down with 15 to 20 people a week, not a month, a week. Now, a lot of those were what we kind of called coffee appointments. So they would happen at Starbucks primarily. So I would probably do, let's say I did 20 appointments that week. At least 12 of them were coffee appointments. 8 of them were kitchen tables.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
And so out of that, when I was done with that, out of that, I developed 10 new field trainers myself.
Boom.
They weren't all direct, but
Right.
the 10 new field trainers myself. And eventually, not the next year, 2 years, some of them didn't get promoted for 6 years later.
Mhm.
7 of them became regional vice presidents. They all make over 100,000. Jeff Mallard makes over $1 million. He was recruited during that time.
Yeah.
So everything I've got other than Mika Saunders' leg,
Yes.
I didn't build that leg. She built that, and that just paid me more money.
Sure.
But of the height of my income at 1.5, I made $1 million of it with those 7. From that period of time. And ironically, what happened in 2009? The first month of 2009 is when I made 100,000.
Yeah.
For the year.
And real quick, because what we were talking about this prior to getting on this, you were not an overnight success, right? And by the way, that's not how success works in real life most of the time. Okay, it takes time. You got to build something. When you're building a skyscraper, man, most of the time comes in digging the foundation and pouring the cement. That's the way it is. You know, we like to hear about the overnight successes, but that's not reality. But here's what I want. I just want to know, no matter when it happens for me, when it does, am I going to love it or not? That's all I need to know. And I love you saying, you know, well, I'm naturally lazy. I get that. We all I know you too well, because we're all kind of the same. We're going to work our rear ends off harder than anybody in the world, so we don't have to work anymore. Right. And so in the process, we're going to work like a madman, so we can be in a position where we don't have to.
Yeah, I didn't come here to work. I came here to build a business that allows me to live a life. And to fill in those blanks for your people that may not know my story, yep, it took 5 years from getting started to going regional vice president. Had a move in there from Tennessee to Chicago, so starting all over again. And then add another 4 years to that to make my first 100,000. Now, from vice president to 100,000, there were 60,000 years and 70,000 years and 80,000 years, right, along the way. But it is a part of it, and it's so unique that you say that too, Randy, because we talked about this prior. I understand what the company's doing, right? They're trying to show that fast is possible. And I think that's a good concept, but I think we need to do a better job at the preparation of what the process will be for most. And one of the things that drives me crazy about this generation is everything is the fastest to do something.
Right.
The fastest to SVP, the fastest to NSD, the fastest to 100, the fastest to 1,000,000. But the problem is fast is not always good. And let me give you an analogy for your people that are listening. I want you to think back to mama or grandmama preparing a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Sunday dinner. We're not even going to talk about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving could be 2 days of preparation, right?
Right.
A Sunday meal, mama had to get up before church and start doing whatever preparation at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then there's church, and you're still not going to eat till 3 or 4 o'clock that afternoon. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not very fast, but let's compare that to a TV dinner that you get in the frozen section that you can put in the microwave and it's done in 2 minutes. Now, which meal do you think is better? Now, the thing is, there are a lot of people that quote unquote, we see it all the time. You see it in your own hierarchy.
Sure.
Sometimes when you see somebody moving a little fast, you get a little worried.
Yep.
Because it's not solid. What we tend to say is it's not real. What kind of foundation is it built on? Yeah, you can get to RVP in a year, but you don't even understand what QBI is.
Yeah.
You don't know what persistency is. You probably couldn't get a person license from start to finish yourself, not with the RVP's help, not with the licensing specialist's help. Right. So there are other things that are happening in this process. And so it's not to say that people should delay winning, but I think people should have a perspective that is a process to get where you need to go. I saw a story on SportsCenter the other day about a guy that was in the minor leagues for a decade.
Yeah, I know.
And then got called up. I think he played for the Orioles or something. Mm-hmm. And you say, man, I ain't gonna wait no 10 years. Well, he made it to the major leagues.
I bet you there's nobody on the planet that could convince him that it wasn't worth it. I promise you.
Every moment.
You know, and that is so true today. You know, we want things to happen fast, but the reality is we're building people. You're building a foundation of people and leadership, and that takes time, Joe. And that's why, you know, even those months you were saying that you should have gone, maybe you should have hung on and waited before you went full time, all that kind of stuff. Here's the way I look at life. I look at life this way. You know, people are like, well, do you have any regrets? Would you do it over again? Everything else. Look at your life today, okay? And I know you well enough to know this is nothing but you're in ecstasy. There's no way that you could have planned this life out. I mean, you couldn't have. This is beyond our comprehension. We feel incredibly grateful. It's unbelievable what the Lord's done for us and with us and to us and through us. And it's amazing. And so when you're living in the present like that, I wouldn't change anything in my past, even my horrible mistakes, even my stupid mistakes. Everything was for a purpose. We can look back at those videos now and we can learn from it and say, man, if it wasn't for that stupid mistake, maybe I would have gone off some other direction and I wouldn't have been here now, you know? And so I think it's important for our listeners to know, hey, listen, you're going to mess up. I mean, you and I could tell horror stories that would scare them away, you know, on the stuff we had to go through, because if you want it bad enough, you just go through that stuff. But I love the fact that, you know, that you built this on solid foundation, and that way you can, you know, pour into your people that way too, right? Because that's reality.
Well, the scripture says that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Amen. So everything that occurs in our success journey is a part of the process. And it's like it says that our objective should be to go through the fire so that we can come out the other side pure gold. But that refiner's fire isn't comfortable.
Never
It's
is.
not. And I think in what you're portraying right now is, and we say this all the time, and it sounds so cliche, but the more cliche it sounds, probably the more true it is, which is, if I knew how good
I would have
it
done.
was going to be,
Yeah.
I would have worked so much harder sooner.
Yes.
Right? I would have gone through what, we come from Bob Safford's hierarchy, and Bob used to tell us is that success is the person that's willing to eat a pile of it the fastest.
Yeah, right.
See, so we used to have this, there used to be this show on TV called Fear Factor. And it used to have all these crazy things. Most of the time it'd be animal parts for them to eat. And you would know who was going to win by their demeanor before they blow off the gun to go. There's the one going,
yeah.
oh my God. And there's the other one like,
yeah.
our objective here, because that plate's not going to diminish and it's not going away. So if we want to spread this meal out over 5 years, Primerica doesn't care, right? But if you get it done in 2, still doesn't care. Whatever was on the other side, you're going to get when it was done. And all this build up and process and avoiding the things that we know we have to do. That's one of the things that there are certain things we have to do. And it doesn't really matter what era of Primerica, whether it was yours, mine, or the people that are listening to this today. There's a certain amount of prospecting you've got to do, whether that's face-to-face or social media, it doesn't matter. You got to prospect every day. There's a certain amount of telephone calls you have to make, actual telephone calls, not texting. Actual telephone calls where you have a conversation with a live human being. You got to set up appointments. You got to get people to look at the opportunity in meetings. You got to close business. You got to be the #1 closer of business in your organization for many years. All your bills are paid. This hasn't changed. This was an A.L. Williams art concept. Art said, pay all of your bills on your own pen. Now you have people coming in, well, I'm a recruiter, I'm building a team. Well, while you're trying to build this team, tell your mortgage company that. Right now, I'm building a team. I'm going to be making all kinds of money in the future. Just give me a few months. No, you got to go write 10,000, I believe, in this era. You got to go write 10,000 of personal life insurance premium. You got to bring 3 to 4 people in direct to you every month. These are the things you got to do. There's no getting around this. You're not going to inbox 2 or 3 people a day, and all of a sudden you have this army of people. No, most people are going to say no. You got to work through those numbers.
This is why I love our company, because you see, some people might go, well, that sounds tough. He's tough talking. Let me just tell you something. No, it's reality. Okay. And here's the deal. Our leadership, if you go to any other organization, any other company, anything on the internet that tries to make anything sound get rich quick, it's easy, it's simple, everybody can do it, they are lying through their teeth. When their lips are moving, it's lies coming out. Okay. The reason why Art Williams said I didn't tell you it's going to be easy, I just said it's going to be worth it. Okay. Is because we know the truth. The truth is, if you're willing to work hard, you can be set free, and people want to live a free life. They want to be set free. But the truth is, we talk to them truthfully because we know that if they'll do it, it really will happen to them, you know.
Primerica's never failed anybody. I've always told people that there's never been anybody that did the work that didn't win. That person doesn't exist. So you're going to tell me you prospected every day, you made telephone calls, you set up appointments, you help people get licensed, you help them get promoted to district. You did all those things on a consistent basis, and you didn't make 300-400 grand.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No way.
There's a differentiation though between making. That's just like Art used to talk about. I got 2 guys. One guy make $50,000,
$50,000.
another guy make $500,000, and it was those little differences. And I will say today, I mean, it's nothing to make $100,000 on your own pen. That's
Right.
nothing. That's just even acting like you're going to show up to work. And I believe with just a small semblance of a team, you can get to ownership 300,000.
Yep.
But past that is leadership and people development.
Yeah.
If you don't have a system that allows you to coach people, move them through the process and help develop them, their character, their thought process, all of these things, you're not gonna be able to multiply. You're not gonna be,
Yep.
you can find a few producers that can write a little bit of premium, but you're not going to be able to get people who can run their own deal and be their own
Right.
person and see the